What's good, everybody, and welcome in, as Adobro says in the chat, the best show of the entire week. And as M Squared says, this is the hour you do not want to miss. Our apologies for starting a little bit late. We had some technical issues, and we don't want to come on the air until everything is fixed, but we have everything fixed right now. Now, what this show is, it's our Week 8 NFL Mega Preview. You do it every single Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We break down every single game of the week, and we also give you our best bets as well. Educate and entertain. We do it all for you right here, right now. Now, this is how important it is now as we head into November that we've added a very important member to this team today. So let's bring in the stars of the show, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And normally, this is the crew, but not today. Johnny, bring in the newest star of the Mega NFL Preview. Dump him in right now. You asked for him. You want him. You got him. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you first and foremost Larry Hartstein, the man we like to call the Maestro, to Early Edge Live, and it's not coming up.
Keep stretching.
I'm joining for a second. It's like, Coach, it's like your WWE days. You call for somebody and someone else comes out. We're having technical difficulties with the Maestro. So
my goodness.
He and I are working on it, so we'll get him up shortly.
That's okay. Hey, it's live. We are live, and that's what happens. Now, the crew that's always here, and the man who coined the phrase that this is the hour you do not want to miss. Ladies and gentlemen, back from Austin, Texas, M Squared. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Coach. Feels good to be back. This is one of my favorite shows, as I always say, definitely the one you want to tune in. So if you're here, congratulations. Feels good to be back. It kind of sucked. Had some technical difficulties of my own on the road this week. Haven't been on since Thursday. But I think there are a lot of fun games to talk about this week, even if I don't have plays on them yet. I'm excited to get the takes from everybody else on the show, and let's do it.
That's exactly right. Now, speaking of takes, this man always brings his take, and you never know what he's going to say. The Lady Killer, Matty Severance. Welcome back to Early Edge Live.
Yeah, last week was kind of strange just with with 6 teams on the bye. We just got the Raiders and the Ravens this week, so a lot more options to play with.
Oh, and I know you like options when it comes to the NFL. Now, this man, when he gets back into a corner, when he has a bad week, what does he do? He doesn't put his head down, puts his chest out, chin up. RJ White, what did you do last week on Sportsline and on the Early Edge?
4-0 on this show last week, 10-1 on Sportsline overall. Missed that Ravens game, one of the worst picks, I think, of the week since he came out and played, but nailed everything else. So it was a great week. Glad to get back on track.
And this is why you have to watch this show. We beat the number almost every single game. Not always, but most games move between Tuesday and Thursday and or Sunday. This is the best time to get the best number because I got the best guys right here. All right, let's jump in. So here's what we do. Pound that like button. You know how important it is. So today, we're changing the game. My man Johnny, he's keeping an eye on everybody in the chat. Active Sportsline membership. Also, we're going to give away an Early Edge T-shirt. We got to figure out how many likes we need for that, and Johnny's going to tell me as soon as he can. We're going to give away a T-shirt just like this one, or a Sportsline membership live to somebody who is active in the chat. If you put something in the chat or you have a question, also put your Twitter handle so we can always get a hold of you and know where you are at. All right, guys, let's jump. Boom, boom, boom. He has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the true superstars of Sportsline. He is the Maestro. He is Larry Hartstein. First time this year on this show, though. Hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally get an invite to this exclusive group of Tuesday afternoon winners. I spent the whole weekend at the Capital One Sportsbook Caesars in downtown DC. Had a blast there. Flew back today. I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
You're always ready to go. On to the next. Also, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, could you do it for me right now? Let's get to 17,700 by the time this show ends. All right, so what we do at the beginning of the show, we give away our best bets, so you can write them down, and then we break down every single game after we give away our best bets. Since he was undefeated last week, I'm going to allow RJ White to go first. What do you got for us this week, RJ?
So best bets, I like the Texans plus 14.5. Tyrod Taylor's going to be back at practice this week. They were competitive with him before quarterback became a major problem with Davis Mills. We'll see if he plays this week. If he doesn't, I think it's only a slight edge on 14.5 for the Texans. But if he plays, that line it's ridiculous. It should probably be Rams -8. You're getting a lot of value if you get it in now, and he does play. I like the Bengals -9.5. It's moved up to 10 cents. Jets are the number 32 team in the league with Mike White at quarterback, and it's not close. Bengals are now a top 10 team, but they're not getting the level of respect expect the Rams are getting. We see what that Rams-Texans line is, 14.5. I don't know why this one isn't 14.5 too, considering the Jets are worse than the Bengals. Giants +10. I have to drop Kansas City in the power ratings until they're back on track. I had been holding strong with them at +6, +5.5 around there. Now I got them down at +2. Still a good rating, but that defense is a problem. Turnovers are a problem. And the Giants can score on bad defenses, and that's what the Chiefs have been. So backdoor is going to be wide open for the Giants at +10. Like having that one. Cardinals got it at -3.5. Obviously, people can't play that now. Line's gone after the Devontae Adams news. Hope you got it when I posted. Obviously, it's not actionable now. Falcons -2.5. Sam Darnold's the worst regular starting quarterback in the NFL right now. I don't even know if he can score on a bad Atlanta defense with how he's playing. He's 32nd in a bunch of metrics since the week 4. So yeah, I fade him if you can getting less than 3. It's going to get up to 3, I think, at some point, and I don't think it comes back down because he's just playing so poorly right now.
Oh, man, I love all those picks. I can't wait for you to really dive deep as we break down every single game in just a little bit. All right, Matty Severance, you're up next on the board, so give us your 2 plays you have so far.
Yeah, pretty much agree with RJ and Mike too. I don't usually pick this early, but after watching Darnold last week, I don't buy that he's got that long of a leash. I mean, P.J. Walker to replace him, unless they get Deshaun Watson the next 3 days, but I can't imagine he'd be ready to play. So I like the Falcons there. And I just take the money line. I don't want to even worry about the 2 points. They won by 2 points last week, so would have lost that one. And, I got Arizona early too. RJ said Adams is out, probably out. Alan Lazard is out for sure. That line has moved to 7 at some offshores already. So if you want to get it before 7, you better hurry because the Packers are going to have a bunch – Randall Cobb and a bunch of bums at wide receivers. So.
I couldn't believe we have this for people who don't know, we have this incredibly long thread. I think it started in February or sometime, and it actually saved us just because we all got in on the Packers or the Cardinals, depending on which one we liked, because we had people texting us, and it kind of pays to be on the inside, but we try to give the information out as best as we can. All right, Maestro, what official plays do you have for us right now? The floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. But before I get into that, I would want to offer some kind of contradictory info on this Falcons-Panthers game, even though the Panthers are pathetic offensively without Christian McCaffrey and Sam Darnold looks lost. But I think you got to look at that Falcons secondary and how bad they are and what Tua did to them without a couple of boneheaded plays. Probably the Dolphins would have won. I think he completed 80% of his passes, about 300 yards, and the Falcons lost their top 2 corners, and their third corner was out with a hammy, and he may or may not be back. They also lost a safety. They are scouring the practice squads for cornerbacks right now. Now, maybe some of these guys come back, but as it stands now, I think this is going to be a good game for DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson and Sam Darnold, actually, against this Falcons defense. I won't play it at less than 3, and even at 3, I'll have hesitation if some of these guys come back for the Falcons, but I'm just throwing that out there.
I feel like maybe that you wanted to throw a sports line showdown because I'm more than happy to take that at 3 head up against you right now.
Let me come back to you on that. You know what?
Okay.
Let's go for it. Let's go.
Let's go. Sports line showdown on a Tuesday? This never happens. Look at you. All right. Now give us your plays. I love it. Let's go, Larry.
All right. Well, I got to start with the sorry Bears, and I don't think there's a team that looked worse than they did this past week. Absolutely did not show up, did not compete. But if you look at their 3 home games, they beat the Bengals, they beat the Lions, and they played the Packers relatively even and were covering that until about 4.5 minutes to go. So I think, and I don't think Matt Nagy being out is really a detriment. That means more input for Bill Lazor. So I just think the Niners are super banged up. And there was a stat, I was on the Colts plus the points because Kyle Shanahan laying over a field goal. He's just a bad bet. He's now 5-13-1 against the spread. I believe if you want to side with me on this, you're going to have to pay more than -110 to get the Bears at +3.5. I think on Sportsline it was -120 when I posted it earlier today. But I think the Bears will have success running the ball. They actually ran the ball well against Tampa, which was a shock. And now the 49ers have a very middle-of-the-road run defense. And as long as they can run the ball, they don't have to put it all on Justin Fields. 5 turnovers. They cannot be worse. At home, I expect them to at least compete in this one. And Jimmy G, he's missing George Kittle, obviously, in a really big way. The other one I love, the Seahawks. the Jaguars got that first win. They got to celebrate. They've been home. They've been resting. How is Urban Meyer going to handle the bye week? Rookie head coaches off the bye week this year, 0-2 against the spread and have not really been close. That's a trend. Actually, they've been really bad the last few years. Rookie head coaches handling the bye. And I think this is the game the Seahawks finally let Geno throw the ball a lot more. Last night they just pounded into line, pounded into a Saints defense you can't run against. I think they're going to throw against the Jaguars defense that gives up the second most explosive pass plays. I think it's a big day for Lockett, a big day for DK Metcalf, and we get a couple key mistakes from Trevor Lawrence in the toughest environment he has faced. He has not been, and he played at Cincinnati, and I'm trying to remember the other road game they played, but this is easily the toughest road game for him. And then the Cardinals team total, I bought this down. This was at 28.5, and some books have already raised it to 29. I'm going to play it at -150 on Caesars. The Cardinals team total over 27. This crazy stat about the Packers? 15 consecutive red zone touchdowns they allowed. They had not stopped any team in the red zone until this past week when Washington went 0 for 4. And I don't know if that was, Taylor Heineke diving or was it more the Packers or was it more Washington? Well, anyway, the Cardinals get to face a defense that is really banged up. They're missing their top pass rusher, their top corner. They've played a terrible schedule of offenses, and they've still been just mediocre. I think the Cardinals easily get to 30.
All right. And you actually, during that analysis, answered one of the chat questions on it was at 28 or 29. So he bought it down. That's why the juice is so high.
I just want to get the protection in case it does land on 27. I thought -150 was a reasonable price, but I think we're getting in the 30s.
All right. I like that a lot. All right. Very, very good. All right. Now, M Squared, your plays just showed up. And, of course, we've had several questions in the chat. We're going to have a teaser. We're going to have a parlay. Well, Mikey, talk to me. What do you got?
Yeah, going to go right back to where Larry was at with the Bears +3.5, teasing that one to +9.5 on their home field. You've got the 49ers traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast for the early start. Nagy being out for the Bears doesn't really impact anything. I agree that Laser might be a better situation for them. I was very encouraged with the way they ran the ball against the Buccaneers defense. The only question here is, can they contain Deebo Samuel? I think that they can keep it within the 9.5 for sure here. So I like the Bears. And then we're going to go with another home dog, the Indianapolis Colts against the Tennessee Titans. This is as high as Tennessee has been and will be valued in the market after coming off of two big key home wins against the Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. However, this is still a division game with two very good teams. I might even argue that the Colts should be favored in this game on their home field. I make these teams very, very close to equals. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we saw late line movement this week that pushed this one to a pick'em or -1 again for the Indianapolis Colts. But getting them with the hook here over the touchdown, I expect a competitive division game here. Both of these teams are 5-2 against the spread. I mentioned it on a couple of the other shows before. We love to back the Titans against the spread when they are underdogs under Mike Vrabel. We like to back this Colts team when they are home dogs or just dogs in general as well. Not super interested in paying the premium on the Titans here. So wrap the Colts +7.5 with the Bears +9.5. Two teams on their home field.
Who would have ever thought that the Colts, after the way they looked in week 1 and Carson Wentz and all that, would actually be a team that's looking really, really good right now? And they played really well the other night. Now, normally at this time of the show, we put up the 5 games that I think are the biggest. We're not going to do that this week because I saw ESPN today put out their power rankings. And I feel like we have the best NFL cappers in the business who also do their power rankings. So I decided, let's throw them up there and let my guys just react to the list that they put out today that shocked me to the core. Johnny, throw it up. And we're going to let RJ start. And what am I missing? What is ESPN missing? Because I know you do your own power rankings, and that's not the power rankings that we're looking for. We're working on it. Don't worry. You know what? While we're working on that, let me just read them off to you. Here we go. So here's what ESPN put out today is their power rankings. Okay. Bills number 1. Oh, that is our power rankings, you guys. Okay. Bills number 1, Buccaneers number 2, Rams number 3, Cardinals 4, and Ravens 5. Do we agree with Bills 1, Bucks 2? RJ, what do you think about what they put out today?
I have those two teams even in my power ratings right now, 7 points better than an average team. I'm not going to discount the Bills too much for losing to the Titans. It was a close game. They were due for a letdown spot after a huge win in the week before. And, I thought they would be focused heading to the bye, but clearly didn't quite play as well. But I still think the Bills are a great team, so I'm not going to discount them that much. And the Bucs, I have them as tied for the top team right now. They're dealing with a ton of injuries, though. So if anybody wants to rate them in this moment a little bit less, I wouldn't be out of favor with that. But I think those two are clearly the best team when they're healthy right now.
All right. Anybody else want to weigh in? We got Bills, Buccaneers, Rams, Cardinals, Ravens, Colts, Titans, Packers, Cowboys at number 9. Cowboys at number 9. And Maddie, what do you think about?
I just think it's ESPN does a recency thing, and since Dallas was on the bye, they just kind of forget about them. I realize Dallas hasn't really beaten anybody yet, and they could lose at Minnesota if Dak Prescott doesn't play. But yeah, there's no way they're the number 9 team in the NFL right now with that offense and that Micah Parsons and that Trevon Diggs and that defense. There's just no way they're the number 9 team.
I just made a huge mistake. Those are our power rankings. They were sent to me. They said ESPN. Those are our power rankings. So now that really makes me want to dive in now. These are from Sportsline. Yep. So that's my apologies. My apologies to ESPN. All right. So now that we're clear, these are our power rankings. I don't know why they were sent to me that way. So Maestro or Mikey, your thoughts on the Saints being 10? That wasn't the 10th best team that I watched last night against the Seahawks. Not even close. There we go. Now we're where we need to be. So anybody want to weigh in on these power rankings and if they disagree or agree with any of these?
I certainly want to weigh in because you can't even see the Bengals on there. And they are, I think, 15th in the power rankings, 10 spots behind the Ravens. Now, did they not just go to Baltimore and absolutely crush them?
Correct.
Ravens' run game is just so limited right now besides Lamar Jackson. They've had problems on the O-line. The Bengals are probably going to beat, that'll be if they can go in and beat the Browns next week. That's the thing that worried me. I don't want to get on too many tangents, but this spot for the Bengals this week is maybe the worst spot of any team all year. Statement win at the Ravens, Browns on deck. They've already taken care of the Steelers. So this is a tremendous flat spot, but I still laid the points. I still laid the 9.5 because I knew it was going up. Just because the Jets are so bad. But yeah, the Bengals out of the top 10 makes no sense to me.
Makes no sense. Mikey, your thoughts on this list?
A few of the teams are correct. I think that the Buccaneers should be number 1 by 0.5 point over the Bills. Again, like RJ said, if you want to factor in the exact spot today and really discount them because of the injuries they're dealing with, but I think they're going to be fine as the season progresses. The Colts and Titans at 6 and 7 are probably a little high. I would have them around 10 and 11 myself. I'd move the Cowboys up to at least 7th. And then the two teams that are not listed here that I think sneak into the top 10 are the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. Both of those two teams should be right there in that top 10. I know the Titans won those 2 games, and it feels weird to not have them as a top 7 team, but I don't believe that they are a top 7 team currently. But the Browns, I do believe, are right there in the top 10, as well as the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think the biggest, probably the Colts being 6 is probably the biggest miss here. I would have them closer to, I could argue for them being in the top 10 still, but I certainly don't think they're the 6th best team.
Abel in the chat says, where are the Chargers? Should the Chargers belong in the top 10, the way they played?
So
anybody?
For me, I think there's so many teams right in that range. So for me, it's going to be, you can include the Saints who are listed here, but Saints, Browns, Bengals, Chargers, Titans, those 5 teams are all going to be within 0.5 point of each other. You could have them anywhere, in my opinion, again, from 8 to 12, basically 8 to 13. It's really difficult to list those teams. And you could obviously, if we wanted to cause some drama, we could move a team up or down in certain ways. I know that that's not what we do with these ratings, but those teams, there's just such a logjam of those teams that they're mediocre teams that definitely can make the playoffs, definitely can go win a playoff game. But I think that they're still noticeably outside of that top 4 or 5 as being contenders.
Just for a point of reference, ESPN has the Colts 16th. So I think 6 is way too. They haven't beat anybody. Who knows if they would have won in San Francisco if it wasn't a monsoon. Jimmy Garoppolo was driving down the thing and just squatted the ball away. So
yeah, very true.
And we knew the Colts were going to start slow because of their injuries, and I think these ratings aren't based on like the exact record of what they've done and stats on what they've done. It's really based on their simulation percentage on a neutral field against every team. And the Colts, when they're healthy, are a very strong team, and we're going to see that over the second half of the year. So this is less. The Colts have proven themselves they should be number 6, and more. If you were just going to rate the strength of all of these teams 1 through 32, the Colts are better than people think. So I wouldn't have them 6.
Health?
What's that?
Can you just presume health, though, I guess, is my question.
No, you can't presume health for anyone. We don't know who's going to make it to the end of the year. But the point in this is that the Colts are better than people think. They aren't the 6th best team in the league. But I think 16 is too low for them, too. So keep your eye on them. They're going to be a value moving forward. I think the Saints are better than people think. They were really banged up before the bye. They activated a lot of people off IR for that game last night, at the last minute. Bad weather. We're going to see better from the Saints moving forward, too.
This is exactly the conversation I wanted to have bringing this up. So thank you guys very much for weighing in on that. I think we're going to do that more times than not, because I think a lot of times people at home, novice bettors, they like to go to things like this and make bets based off of power rankings instead of off of information they get from great guys like what we have here on the show. All right, so since we're running 4 wide today, we've got to rip through these games because here on the show, for those of you who are new, we go through every single game and give you at least a nugget or two on what you should be looking for, a lean, something like that. But we go through every single game. So with these 4 incredible minds. By the way, we've already hit 100 likes. I'm going to give away a year-long sub at some point to Sportsline. And then somebody in the chat, you got to leave your Twitter handle. We're going to give away this T-shirt right here to some very lucky person in the chat who is active and engaging. All right, first game. And RJ, I'm going to let you start the conversation. Packers-Cardinals Thursday night, maybe the game of the week, if not for Davante Adams now on the COVID list. And that changed everything. It changed the number. It changed the bets. It changed it all. Your take now on Packers-Cardinals without Davante Adams.
I was on Cardinals -3.5. Obviously put it on early in the day before that news broke. No receivers worth 2.5 points to the line. I love Davante Adams. He's a great receiver. The line should not have moved that much if it was right initially. I thought it wasn't right initially. That's why I liked Arizona -3.5. At 6, I thought it was fair. Now Alan Lazard gets ruled out, and it moves up again. And Alan Lazard is not worth a 0.5 point on the line. He's worth 0. Okay.
But don't you think, RJ, that the line is moving based on the fact that maybe more guys are going to test positive?
It could, and that's kind of what I talked about on Twitter, is that if you like the Packers, you're going to have to wait because it's going to keep moving if more people get ruled out. But I want to point out this stat. The Packers are 6-0 with 32.8 points per game with Davante Adams inactive under Matt LaFleur. Rodgers has 310.8 passing yards per game, 17 pass touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 125.1 quarterback rating without Adams in that stretch. So just because he's out doesn't mean that Rodgers is completely lost. He can get things done as well.
The last time Davante was out, Lazard went for 146 and a touchdown. So now he doesn't have Lazard either.
This time he has Randall Cobb, so he'll be fine. Home favorites are 4-0 straight up, 0-4 against the spread on Thursday Night Football this season. So I do think this line is going to keep going up at 7. I'm kind of looking to play the Packers, especially if you got that 3.5. Maybe you're going to get a middle in there. So if the hysteria keeps driving this number up, and Green Bay isn't just missing every single person on their roster, I think it's going to be a value at some point.
Can I be a contrarian and read you guys a stat that I know, believe me, I've learned from Mikey, you can't go back several years and make an argument with other teams. But the Packers are 6-0, averaging 33 points a game under Matt LaFleur without Davante Adams in the lineup. So those numbers tell you that maybe he doesn't make as big of a difference as people are making it out to be. Mikey, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just I tweeted about it a couple of weeks ago with running backs in the Cleveland team, and now here. I mean, I think that in general, as humans, we struggle to appropriately assign value to certain players, especially when we're talking about the best athletes in the world. As RJ mentioned, there isn't a wide receiver in the league that is worth 2.5 points to a betting spread. About 1.8, and that's a lot for a wide receiver, and that's where he's at. He's one of the best in the game. It just goes to show you that it's an entire football team that you're dealing with. It's still, the quarterback is still way more important than the receivers running the routes. The offensive line protecting the quarterback, and everything is still way more important than the one individual player. As far as my thoughts on the game, if you like Green Bay, wait it out. You might see the public hammer this one because this is an island game. It is a standalone island game here on Thursday Night Football. You might literally get the Packers at 7.5 or 8 by the time this thing kicks off on Thursday night, and then you might be in a spot where you're teasing them getting 2 touchdowns. So it's just an interesting spot for sure. If you like the Cardinals, I don't think you can play it now at this point personally, but I don't think it's a huge deal. I think the one thing that the Packers wish they had for this game is they probably wish that they still had Jamal Williams in the backfield. So one interesting thing to note in those games, those 6 games that you guys are talking about where they're 6-0 without Devontae Adams, the target share in these games is fascinating. So Aaron Rodgers' target share, 31% of the targets went to the running backs in these 6 games without Devontae Adams on the field, which is going to be dump offs to Aaron Jones. He's going to be looking to get the ball out of his hands quickly. That's where Randall Cobb's going to come in. Cobb has spent a little bit of his time kind of as like a hybrid running back receiver. He's going to catch some passes around the line of scrimmage in this one. But I found it very interesting, all the way up to 31% target share in those 6 games makes this Green Bay team just a little bit different. And I think they're going to be equipped and ready to deal with it. And there's a reason why we saw in the chat, we see some questions like, how can anyone have any team above the Arizona Cardinals in power ratings? Well, we run simulations, we do all these things, and it's pretty consensus that the Cardinals are not the number 1 team in basically every model. So I think you're buying super high on the Cardinals now at this number. And I think there's going to be a lot of value if you're getting the Green Bay Packers with a touchdown or more.
All right. Of course, we're going to dive deep into this game for a full hour on Thursday night, 7:20 Eastern time, early edge live, all the way up to kickoff, sides, totals, all the props you could possibly want. And this is going to be a really juicy game to talk about. All right, next game on the board, Panthers and the Falcons. And I know, Maddie, even though it's against everything that you believe in, and the road team won both games last season, but you have them on the money line. Let you start the conversation on Panthers, Falcons.
I'd rather do Michigan State. I can't do that instead. Like we mentioned earlier, I just, there's Larry or Mike made a good point. Yeah, I understand they're a little bit banged up, but I just think without Christian McCaffrey, Sam Darnold looks lost. And now Rule's kind of calling out his offensive coordinator, which probably isn't going to help Joe Brady's chance of getting the LSU job. They just look broken. They can't run the ball with Chuba Hubbard. You mentioned Atlanta's banged up. I think Carolina maybe down 3 offensive linemen for this game. So yeah, I just, like I say, usually when it's under 3, I don't like to mess around with the with a late backdoor. So I like the money line here, Atlanta at home.
All right, very good. This is probably not going to be a game that too many people crush, but when we look at games that other people say, stay away from, we look at those as opportunities. All right, next game on the board, Dolphins. Oh, Mikey, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Yeah, I just want to talk about Sam Darnold quickly. And anyone considering backing him, we've known about his past with seeing ghosts, and now you're looking to back him on Halloween. I think that's a pretty easy take.
I've been saying that one.
Oh, man. I can already see my Venmo opening up and seeing that beautiful Larry Hartstein sending over that cool 50,000. No, I'm kidding. All right, next game on the board, Dolphins and the Bills. Now, the Bills, they've been an interesting team this year. And, Maestro, I'm going to come to you because they've beaten the Dolphins 6 times in a row, and they were rolling until they went into Tennessee. Then they have a bye week. So what's their mindset this week? Talk to me.
Their mindset is to come out and do exactly what they did to the Dolphins last time. But the Dolphins' offense is better than it was, when they faced them with Jacoby Brissett. I believe it was Jacoby in that game. If not for the whole game, maybe it was part of the game, but if my memory is serving correctly. But I don't think this is going to hold at 13.5. I saw AB get on the Bills at this number. I think there's no way this is closing below 14.
Interesting. Anybody else think it's going to go up to 14?
I think it could. 85% of the tickets are on the Bills so far. I'm probably looking to play Miami if I'm playing ATS and once it gets to 14. But I think more interesting is the over because, like Larry said, that offense is playing well with Tua. Tua's had two good games back to back. Bills defense probably not as good as it looked early in the season. Even when the Miami defense was playing well these past years, when those Bills had those matchups, the Buffalo offense was shredding them. 30 plus points in each of those 6 games you mentioned. So with Miami's offense looking better, 49.5 seems like a pretty low number for a game where I kind of believe in both these offenses more than the defenses.
And let's remember right now, with a team like the Bills, that number 1 seed is as important as it's ever been. Only one bye now. with 7 teams making the playoffs, only one bye, and the Bills certainly would love to have all of the AFC playoffs coming through Buffalo in January. Next game, Mikey, I'm coming to you. 49ers and the Bears, and I know you have them in your teaser this week. Why are you so bullish on the Bears after what you saw from San Francisco on Sunday night?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with the Bears getting to play at home here and the number that you're getting it at. If you know me, I really like to fade certain teams on the West Coast coming to the East Coast for the early start time. I'm not a big believer in Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. Not having George Kittle out there does impact things quite a bit for him. And then on the Bears side, the way that they were able to still move the football on the ground against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think that's going to lead to some positive things here on their home field. Not having Matt Nagy out there, again, I think that this is a good spot for Laser. I think that he actually should have some more influence here on this team. So I like the Bears on their home field against a team coming for a very early morning start in this game. So I think this line should be 1.5 to 2. I think it's pretty good value on the Bears.
Did you have something, Maddie?
I'm frightened that we're actually excited that Bill Lazor's calling the plays. I mean, I watch this team every Sunday, obviously. The only reason they could run the ball is because they were down so far. The Bucs are like, just get your 5 yards, get your 5 yards. Then Justin Fields will throw an interception or fumble the ball. So they didn't care. Khalil Herbert, although I like Khalil Herbert as a prospect now, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a big time play in this game yet, but I don't see any reason why Justin Fields would do something against Nick Bosa and the 49ers defense. Again, I don't really take into account what they did Sunday night and that weather conditions. So, and I understand the early start, but I mean, I want to think it's a good thing that Nagy's out, and I hope they hang 40 and just prove my point. But I don't think they're going to beat the Niners. I mean, maybe they could lose by 3 would be my ideal situation.
I don't think.
Go ahead,
I don't think they have to complete those passes. They just have to throw it long, because if you saw the 49er secondary, they just tackle the receiver when ball is in the area, and all those pass interference calls, which I think was 100 yards of pass interference, they were all legitimate. Like, those weren't like ticky tacky. They were just like tackling them or grabbing them. They were just completely out of position. So I think Mooney and Allen Robinson can get some of those same calls.
All right, we will find out. It almost feels like an under game, but man, when there's a 3 in front of the number on the total, I have to stay away in the NFL. That's just a number I can't play. All right, next game, and RJ, I'm coming back to you, pal. We're going to go Steelers and the Browns, an incredibly important game in the AFC North, especially after the Ravens were dusted by the Bengals. So when we look at the number here, it's Browns by 3.5 with a backup quarterback. Okay. The total 42.5. RJ, talk to me.
Maybe a backup quarterback. Mayfield expected to practice on Wednesday, from what I think Justine Anderson reported that. So even at less than 100%, if he plays, he's no worse than Big Ben. Big Ben has been less than 100% at least this past year, compared to what he's been, in the past. Chubb should be back as well. And Pittsburgh's defense proved vulnerable against the run in the second half of that Seattle game before the bye. Seattle came out and just started running the ball, and Pittsburgh couldn't stop him, even though you don't have any threat of the pass when Geno is your quarterback. So Pittsburgh looked good the last 2 games. Both of those are wins. Played some awful teams there. Cleveland's much better than that. My Cleveland power rating is depressed due to injuries. I think this line is at least Cleveland -7. If you rewind it to week 6, and they had the health they had in week 6, Cleveland would be favored by 7. So 3.5 seems to be value here if you think Mayfield is going to play. Obviously, would have liked to get it at 3. So hopefully you got it at 3. But 3.5, I still think there's value if Mayfield gets cleared.
Larry.
Yeah, no, I'm just kicking myself that I didn't get it at 3. I would love this at 3, and I still might play it at 3.5. And it doesn't matter to me if Keenum is the quarterback, because I think he's totally fine. It's the other guys getting healthy for the Browns on the O-line, and of course Chubb, and both receivers were able to play. I mean, they didn't play well, but they were able to play. And that game was, even though it ended on 3, was not as close as a 17-14 game. The Browns had the extra rest. So even though the Steelers had the bye, the Browns had 2 or 3 extra days because they played on Thursday. So yeah, I love the Browns. I might buy it to 3, at 120 if I can find that. I don't want to, at this moment, I don't want to lay more than 3.
And let's remember, the Browns last year in the wild card round just absolutely bulldozed the Steelers. They looked phenomenal. And a big time shout out. How great was Mike Tomlin yesterday with the media? They're asking about college openings. He's like, there is not a booster in the world that has a big enough blank check to get me to go to the college ranks. I have one of the greatest jobs in the world. Would it be nice if more people came out and said that instead of wanting to bounce around all over the place? No, I'm good. I say that about this job all the time. I'm good. I get calls all the time from people wanting to hire me. Nope, I'm never leaving CBS. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Thank you, Mike Tomlin. Thank you. All right, moving on to another powerful game of the week that so many people are talking about already. Maddie, of course, I'm coming to you on the Eagles and the Lions. Eagles favored by 3.5, total sitting at 48. Now, the Lions did cover against the Rams. They showed up, showed out, almost won the game until the last half of the fourth quarter. Maddie, your thoughts on this one?
By the way, I would love to see you on the CBS, the Nickelodeon telecast. I think you'd be fantastic at it.
Thank you.
Great. But, yeah, I'm going to call out one of our I forget his last name. I don't want to say his last name. Robert, he's a Philadelphia fan. He texts me about the Eagles. All this thing. He says things are really bad up there. Offense, defense complain about Sirianni. Just everything. Guys are hurt. They're quitting left and right. So he told me, if you don't take the Lions and the points, you're silly this week. They're going to beat the Eagles outright. And I tend to think they probably will. So if they don't win this game, they might be staring at least at 0-13 coming into Thanksgiving. It's my Bears, which I'm sure they'll win that game. But yeah, I do think the Lions get this win in their dome. They've been playing pretty well other than Bengals games. So I do believe I would definitely be taking the points here.
Yeah.
RJ.
On the Lions, you're going to be tempted to take that 3.5 with the hook. I think just play the money line, like Matt was alluding to. They're a high variance team. They're willing to do the things to go for the win. And I think the team's playing hard under their coach. So, I don't think there's really any sense of playing the plus 3.5. Go and get that higher payout with the money line in this one, because when everything is clicking for them, they're going to win a game against a bad team as opposed to just covering and losing by a little bit.
It's a great point. Mikey, what do you got?
Yeah, I like this one. We can actually add this to my official plays, but I'm going on the total here. I found it at 47.5. I'll play it at 48 still. I'm going over the total in this one. I think it's a great spot for both of these offenses to still put up some points. I think it's a great spot here. I have this one all the way up to 52 in the simulations. I think it should at least move to 48.5, at least maybe get to 49 in the market here. I think it's a great spot for both of them. I know that Miles Sanders is going to be out on the Philadelphia side. That might be a benefit for them, as they still like to throw the football, and they finally I like Kenny Gainwell. I like Boston Scott. I think both of them can make plays. I think it changes the way that they're going to call the plays in this one. And then, as everyone's mentioned on the other side, I think that the Lions have shown that they can be competitive. They can hang points on good teams, and I think this one turns into a shootout. I would lean towards the Lions with the points, or play them in a teaser if you'd like. But I think the best play here is the over, as I'm pretty confident one of these teams hits 30 and the other one's in the mid-20s.
All right, very good. Official play. Add to it the total 47 or up to 48 for the Eagles and the Lions. I see all of you in the chat. I see you, Jason. Your bosses are setting up those calls, Coach, hoping you will bite and leave. How about Austin? I think I have a man crush on the Maestro. People are loving you, Maestro, here on the show this week. Maybe you'll come back. I would love to see that. All right, moving on to the next game. This is actually a game I'm really, really looking forward to. And if we would have done the top 5, this most certainly would have been our top 5 games of the week. Maestro, I'm coming to you first. The Titans, here's the number. Right now it's -1. It's almost a pick 'em. Total at 49.5. And this is going to move, from 1 to even, maybe 1 on the other side. So probably this is not where it's going to stay, but this is a very even matchup. Talk to me, Maestro.
Yeah, my first look would be with Mikey and the Colts on possibly a teaser, just because are the Titans going to get up for, those were back-to-back monumental home upsets against two of, arguably the best teams in the league. This is now a division rival that knows them well, that's on the upswing, that everybody realizes is better than their record, is getting healthy. And I loved what Reich said, that he learned from the Ravens game where they got conservative, and he said he's going to attack now, and they showed it against the 49ers. So right now for me, it'd be Colts or nothing.
Okay, very good. Anybody else on this one before I move on?
Go ahead. I'll let RJ take. RJ can take it, and I'll chime in if I have anything after him.
86% of the tickets are on Tennessee right now. Everybody's buying into the Titans. Our Sportsline Power rankings say Colts are number 6, Titans number 7. So a massive game here. Don't sleep on Indy now that they're healthy. A Baltimore meltdown away from 4 straight wins. Must have for Indy. They lost earlier in week 3 when Wentz played through those 2 ankle injuries. So I don't knock them too much for losing that game. Indy has the number 1 rush defense per DVOA. We saw that come to a head against the 49ers. They limited them offensively pretty well. The 49ers had to try to pass the ball. They couldn't do it. I'm not sure Derrick Henry is just going to run them over and get 150 yards in this game. Tennessee's defense off a big day, but Indy's offense has avoided turnovers all year, which the Chiefs couldn't do. They've looked good against San Francisco, Baltimore, Rams defenses. I don't think Tennessee defense is a problem. I like Indy in this one. I'm hoping to get it higher than this. That's why I didn't put it in as a play. And I love that teaser now that it's at 1.5. Definitely want to look to tease them up.
Very good. Are you good, Mikey? You're good? All right.
Yeah, I'll mention it quickly. They're going to be one of the most public spots of the week, a top 3 public spot of the week. Again, you're buying as high as you possibly can on the Titans. And the Colts, they've only really had 2 weeks of health and full practice for Carson Wentz this season. And it's been those last 2 weeks, and they look like a completely different team. So I like them on their home field.
We got to give Carson Wentz credit. If we're going to criticize in the last couple of years, you got to give him credit when he starts to play well. And he's really playing well. He tied Peyton Manning for the longest streak by a Colts quarterback of 2 touchdowns and 0, at least 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions ever. And he's the only one to ever do it in 1 season. Peyton Manning did over the course of 2 seasons. So you got to give Carson Wentz a lot of credit. By the way, those ankles, those look like Tony Finau dislocated ankles. Those were nasty. Amazing that he came back and played. All right, moving on to the next game. And this is maybe the surprise team in the NFL right now, guys. And Mikey, I'm coming to you. The Bengals go to Baltimore, lay a 40 spot on the Ravens, and now they go to New York, and they're a double-digit favorite over the Jets. Is this the right number, Mikey?
I don't think it is. I think I know it's a weird number, but I'm shocked that we haven't seen a minus 12.5 like we've seen for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at times this year. I think this number is soft. I don't know how you don't make the Jets the worst team in the NFL right now with the quarterback situation that they're going to be dealing with in this spot. We've seen the Bengals. They've obviously been undervalued. They have some pretty incredible weapons here. I know it's a letdown spot potentially for them, and maybe that's why this number is only minus 10. Again, I have it all the way up to minus 13 in the simulations. I think it's just one of those spots where if they're not right, it's because they're looking ahead to the Browns, but I don't know how you make any team really worse than the New York Jets right now.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of teams out there mad at Aaron Rodgers for telling Joe Burrow, get down, because now he's going to stay healthy, or at least healthier, because he loved that extra yard. And now all of a sudden, Joe Burrow playing really, really smart and dynamic football. I love the Bengals this week. Get them now. Again, this is why we do the show on Tuesday. Beat the number. You heard what Mikey said. Get it now. By Thursday, it'll probably be at 12.5 or 13 potentially. You just never know.
I got a question for RJ on this game, because the look-ahead line literally a week ago was Bengals minus 3.5. I know it seems like that's another universe that no one can comprehend, that the Bengals would be laying just 3.5 to this team, even with Zach Wilson. RJ, we've seen this 6.5 point move, and yet we all still feel there's value on the Bengals. I mean, has that ever happened?
Yeah, no, typically no. I mean, you see these, it's going to move when you have quarterback injuries, but I couldn't move it down too much. I already had them as a minus 7.5 point team with Zach Wilson. I don't like to dip, under 10, because teams just aren't that awful. So I have them at minus 10 right now. But you combine that then with the Bengals just absolutely obliterating the Ravens, a team that we all expected to be in a competitive game. We didn't think the Bengals were this good. Now I think everybody realizes we've all been way too low on the Bengals. So I had to move the Bengals up, I think, 5 points in my power ratings, because I'm very conservative with those very tick moves up, half a point. And then I was like, I still had the Bengals at minus 0.5 or 0. And I was like, I got to get them up in that top tier teams with the Dallases and Baltimore's, obviously. So you combine those two things, the injury and the move up. And that's why I have this line at 11.5. I think it does have a little bit of wiggle room even at 10.
All right, very good. Very good. Thank you for that question, Maestro. Let's continue to pound that like button. The bosses just texted me. They said, Coach, we're going to give away another year-long sub with 200 likes. So I'm going to give away 2 names. Continue to put your Twitter handle. If you make a comment, just put it in the comment section so we have your name to choose from. All right, next game on the board. Rams Again, they won last week by 9. They were double-digit favorites, but they got the W against Houston on the road at the Texans. This number, a robust 14.5. And RJ, as I come back to you, I will ask you this question. Do you know or do you think there has ever been an NFL team that 2 weeks in a row was at least a 2-touchdown favorite or more?
Yeah, I got to think that undefeated Pats team, if I remember right, they were just smoking teams as 17-point favorites, I think, at the end of their run. So I'm sure that if you go back and look at the numbers, especially if they had 2 home games, that they were that. But even on the road, I think people were probably willing to lay those points. But 86% of the tickets on the Rams here, I love fading a play like that. Tyrod, like I said, is going to be back at practice, and they were competitive. I mean, they beat the Jaguars as home underdogs. Who knows why the Jaguars were favored in that game? We were hammering Houston in week 1. And then they were playing, head up to Cleveland when he went down at halftime, and then they fell apart after that in week 2 and have not been great since. So no guarantee he actually plays. If he does, I think the line is Rams -8 according to my ratings. So even if he doesn't, man, probably make it around 12 and a half. So you're still getting a little bit of value versus a Rams team that can coast and get a win. They probably don't have to play hard here. But the big thing here in this one is check out your look ahead number, because the lines are going up for next week right now on Tuesday, like they do at a lot of books. And Tyrod's almost certainly going to be back for that game if he's practicing this week. And yet I'm showing the ones that I looked at +7 at Miami. And Miami is not a good team. Obviously, you want to get those 7 points with Tyrod in the lineup against Miami. So get that one in now. They can't play defense. Love Houston in that spot.
All right, very good. Maddie, do you have something over there?
I've lost 3 times on the Texans as +14 this season already, so I'm done with them.
You're done with Houston.
Yeah.
Maddie, I was on the Texans also. I had them at like 17.5, 18.5, and at the book,
I got them at 19.5.
Bet I lost at the book this weekend was when I bet the Texans +20. And they had a 3rd and 24. Actually, the defense played well for the whole first half. And they just, when your offense never gets a first down, the defense just gets tired. And they literally had Arizona on 3rd and 24 or something like that with, I believe the score was 7-5 at that point. And of course, they gave up a 30-yard completion and the rest was history. But I think the defense is not as bad as everyone thinks. It's the offense that's making the defense look horrific.
Yeah. Mikey, what do you think? Because I know you had him in a teaser last week, and we joked around. If you can't cover a 25-point spread, then you don't belong in the NFL, and they lose by 26.
Yeah, no, I had them. I lost 3 teasers because of that last week. And the defense did play great in the first half of that game, and really unfortunate. But what I would say here on this one is this line is certainly priced as if Tyrod is not playing. However, Tyrod is practicing. If you think that Tyrod is going to play, there's 3.5 points of value in here. I know that Tyrod, he is a starting quarterback for this team. He's not the best quarterback in the league. He's not in the top tier. But the drop from Mills to Tyrod, it's as if it's a big deal. Like, it's a massive deal. It's like a normal good quarterback in the league being out and a backup filling in. It is significant, and this line is priced as if Tyrod's not going to play. So monitor it. You watch. It'll fall to at least 13.5 if Tyrod is announced as the starter, and then they're on their home field. So at this point in the season, the Rams, their focus is slowly going to shift to the only priority is getting out of there with a win and getting out of there with health and not burying teams as we get a little deeper in the season.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Very, very, very good advice from all of my crew. All right, let's keep pounding that like button. We're only about 15 away from 200, so I can give away 2 year-long memberships to Sportsline. As many of you know that are already members, my goodness, there's no better value in all of sports. Now, Early Edge has grown so much, faster than we ever could have imagined, that right now we have commercials. And one of my favorite shows at Paramount Plus, well, it's got to be Inside the NFL.
Joining Inside the NFL on Paramount Plus is a huge honor, and I'll be preparing with the same intensity that I did throughout my career. Brandon with the hand signals to emphasize his point. Amazing technique. Phil takes such a cerebral approach to this game.
You go down there and you bite his ankles.
He's an innovator. JB uses SAT words a bunch. Frivolity, that is a Harvard man.
Inside the NFL. New episode streaming Tuesdays, exclusively on Paramount Plus.
There is no truth to the rumor that Matty Severance is going to be a guest this week on Inside the NFL, although I'm sure they've asked you, Matty, many different times. However, I'm coming to you for the next game. Patriots and the Chargers. This is a very interesting one. Chargers coming off a bye week. The Patriots coming off a 54 spot against the Jets, getting right at home last week. Now, they travel all the way across the country, 50 miles from where I'm sitting right now at SoFi. Matty, your thoughts on what I think could be one of the games of the week?
Yeah, definitely. The Patriots, I know, smoked the Chargers last year. I think this sets up well for New England, actually. The Chargers can't stop the run. So, and, we know Bill Belichick wants to do conservative play action, get Mac Jones in the right spots to beat the Chargers deep. It worked against Dallas, even though they lost. So I think Damian Harris all day long. There'll be tons of Boston fans, I'm sure, in LA for this game. So I'm going to sit and wait. I'm going to hope it goes up some, but the Patriots are such a public team, I doubt that it will. My early lean would be on New England here.
Okay. Maestro, is LA, are they the best team in the AFC West right now? Oh, no. Oh, he just pulled. You just pulled a Jay Smooth. Oh! All right. Are we good now?
Yeah, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Are we
Throw
good?
Johnny under the bus. Johnny under the bus.
Johnny was trying to help me. Johnny was trying to help me with my volume level. I mean, you got to say they are, but it's not an inspiring division. A couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, might have been the best. People might have said it was the best division. Now, I also got to look at the Patriots here. Mac Jones, 117 pass rating, 119 pass rating the last 2 games, completing about 70% of his throws. The running game is going. So it's not just that they obliterated the Jets, but how good the offense looked against the Cowboys. If I can get 6 or more, I would look at the Pats.
Okay. Tony taking care of us in the chat. I love Tony Cobbs. She goes, that one thumbs down, the dislike button, not a part of the family. Thank you, Tony. I love you so much. All right. Now, anybody else? Patriots, Chargers. Big game. Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, we got to keep it moving because we are only 4 minutes from the top of the hour. When you got this many great minds, it takes a little bit of time to get through every single game, but we still have a few more to get through. This one, it just screams blah to me. And you don't scream blah to me, Maestro, but you're going to start the conversation. Jags, Seahawks. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Anything you like in this game?
Yeah, no, I do like the Seahawks and it's not because of how they look last night. It's because the Jaguars are coming off a bye with a rookie head coach coming off their first win. That's a big exhale, and I think Trevor Lawrence is going to struggle in this atmosphere, make a few mistakes, and I think the Seahawks are finally going to get the passing game going with Geno Smith. They haven't really been letting him throw unless it's 3rd and long. I mean, has anyone ever said, let's throw on 1st down? They come out with that 84-yard completion, and then they do nothing pretty much the rest of the way. I think this is the game. The Jags secondary is really, really bad. Laying only 3 at home against the Jags, traveling cross-country with a first-year coach. I really like it. I laid the 3.
Yeah, that was very, very frustrating. All of us who were on Seattle, we're just like, at some point, the Saints are going to kick a field goal, score a touchdown, we're going to lose by 6. And that's how it felt the entire game because they wouldn't do anything. Matty?
No, I was just agreeing. I don't have any interest in this game thing, but I was the same thing with Seattle. I just assumed they were going to win by 6 or 7 right at the end there. So
yeah. Oh, and Geno almost pulled a Geno on the last play of the game, right? He almost took a safety that would have been classic and lose by 5. I was like, if you stumble right now, I'm going to personally fly to Seattle and take care of you myself. All right, next game, Washington. The Washington football team traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. The number in this one looks like this. Broncos laying the 3, the total 43.5. Now, these are 2 teams, Mikey, that just have really lost their identity the last couple of weeks. Do you see a side that you like here more than the other?
I do. I haven't played it officially. I'm considering it in teasers right now, and it's actually the Washington football team. I don't like backing them at home. I think it's a terrible place for them. Getting them on the road here, their defense is still – the defensive front is not as bad as it looks. And you look at the teams that they've lost to. They've lost to good teams, right? They lost to the Chargers. They lost to the Bills. They lost to the Saints. They lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Packers. Those are their 5 losses. Just an absolutely brutal schedule. Look, I like Ricky Seals-Jones in this game. We'll be looking at some props here. This guy's playing 100% of snaps for them. We know Terry McLaurin is dangerous. The only worry I have is Jerry Jeudy coming back on the Broncos and then just their general home field advantage that is had there at that stadium. But if I had to lean on this one, I would lean with the Washington football team. I do like them +9. I was on the Browns earlier this week against the Broncos. I don't think this Broncos team is very good. I've been saying it basically since week 1. I don't trust them at all. I don't think Teddy is very good personally. So if I had to play it, I would lean on Washington football team. Very close to wrapping it into a teaser at +9. I was hoping to get 9.5 or 10. Going to wait it out and see if the news of Jerry Jeudy returning and anything happening on the Washington side creates more action on Denver at home. But I would lean on Washington, as I think that they are better than their record indicates.
We have made so much money this year and learning about teasers and parlays and new bettors that really didn't understand. You don't like a number, you can get 6 more and put it together. And we've really, and a shout out to one of our viewers who gave us a teaser last night that we cashed live on the show. We had Seattle plus the 11, and then we teased the under up to 48, cashed it easy. So thank you to whoever that was last night. We gave it on the show, and it cashed with ease. Go ahead, Maestro.
Just one quick thing. Washington had 6 drives that went to the Green Bay 27, or closer, and came away with 3 points. That's hard to do. So
it's very, very hard to do.
They're going to do better.
They've got to do better. All right, moving on. We got 3 games left, and in each game, there is a public team. All right? The Bucs, they might be better than last year. Tom Brady, he might be better than last year. They're traveling to the Saints. Yes, they have a winning record. Yes, they won on Monday Night Football. But, RJ, does this team have a shot against the defending Super Bowl champs?
I think they do. Tampa is at their peak value right now. They continue to roll, but injuries are going to have to catch up to them at some point. New Orleans came out of the bye much healthier last week, especially on the defense and on the offensive line. We didn't see it, reflect as much in the quality of the game because of the weather. The New Orleans offensive line did lose Andrews Pete in that game. He wasn't playing that well anyway. So I think the guys that they have can contain the Tampa Bay pass rush. New Orleans defense is 3rd in points per drive. Tampa Bay's averaged less than 300 yards in the 3 matchups last year with this defense. So I don't know that they're just going to go and light up the scoreboard. Tampa's rolled versus bad teams. They barely beat Dallas. They barely beat the New England Patriots. Lost to the Rams. Is New Orleans a good team on that level? Probably not as good, but I don't think they're in the quality of the teams that Tampa's smoking, like Chicago. So with 80% of the tickets on Tampa, Bucs can do no wrong for the public. They're going to keep lining up to back the Bucs. I'm hoping this line goes higher so I can jump in on the Saints because I think there's a lot of value with them at home at this number.
Spring Hill said
New Orleans wins the ball more than anybody. I mean, do you think they're going to be able to do anything on that Tampa defense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're the guys, lost left and right in the secondary. So you can throw on this defense. I know that they've been committing to the run, and that's a problem. But if Khalil Herbert can run for 100 yards, Alvin Kamara should get something, in that game. So
Khalil now, come on.
We do have Spring Hill in the chat. Says, how about putting your whole bankroll on Tampa Bay on the money line? And I don't even know what that would be. I would imagine be minus 200 or higher. I'd have to look. But RJ's shaking his head. Don't do it. Do not
play Tampa money line. This is a textbook Saints come in and win this game when nobody believes in them kind of thing right here.
All right. Minus 220. Thank you, Maddie. Oh gosh, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to hear RJ in my sleep all week. No, don't do it. What are you doing? And then Jameis throws 5 touchdowns for 120 yards, and they win the game with 3
Jameis
turnovers.
Jameis revenge week. First start ever against Tampa.
That's exactly right. Oh, okay. That was something I don't think we ever thought we would say 3 years ago. Jameis Winston revenge week on the Bucs, on Tom Brady and the Bucs. All right. In between these next 2 games, I'm going to announce our 2 winners of year-long subs. Thank you very much for getting the 200 likes. And also, we're going to give away a Early Edge t-shirt, just like the one that I'm wearing right now. We're going to do it in a matter of moments. But first, let's get to Sunday Night Football. This is a team I think with the Bengals are the biggest surprise in the NFL. Without a 7-second to go field goal by Tampa Bay, this team would be undefeated. And I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys laying 2.5 in Minnesota, the total sitting at 54.5. Maddie, I'm coming to you. What are your thoughts?
Well, I certainly can't even think about betting this till I see if Dak Prescott's going to practice this week. He would not have played in week 7 with his calf injury. So that'll be something I wait. Although I know it did open at 1 and it's already at 2.5. So I'm assuming that odds makers are assuming he will play. But I don't know. Maybe Mike or RJ's got a great set when you got both teams off the bye. I don't know, maybe there's a home field advantage there, but certainly my early lean would be to Dallas if Prescott plays, but not over 3.
Okay. This is the Sunday night national game. Anybody else want to weigh in on this one?
I mean, you've got one of the most public teams in the NFL that also happens to be 6-0 against the spread. I think the line's inflated just a little bit. I think you have to price in some of the Dak Prescott injury concern. So I make the Vikings. I make this game close to a pick 'em right now, frankly. But again, I'm pricing in some discount on Dak Prescott's health. So until we know for sure that he is like truly good and ready to go, I think this is an interesting spot. This one actually profiles very similar to the Indianapolis Colts and how I'm putting them in a teaser. I have some interest here at +2.5, getting them at +0.5, especially again with the health on Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott. I have interest in the Vikings at +8.5.
All right, very good.
Yeah,
I love teasers. RJ, go.
88% of the tickets on Dallas. Public is going to be all over it. I love fading such a public play. Minnesota 9-3 against the spread as a home dog under Mike Zimmer. You put this game Sunday at 1 p.m. Would absolutely love Minnesota right here. It's in prime time. It's Kirk Cousins. I cannot trust them right now, especially with how these Cowboys are creating turnovers. So it's probably going to be a stay away from me. I don't know how I could play either side of this one.
This feels like to me, since it's Sunday Night Football, I'll see how I do during the day. And then if I'm up, then I'll have a fun bet on. If I lose, I'm like, okay, I'm already up. That's how I kind of do Sunday Night Football. I know it's not the right approach all the time, but it's my approach all the time.
Trayvon Diggs over 2.5 interceptions against Kirk Cousins in prime time.
Book it. +800. All right, we've reached that time of the show where I like to give out little presents. I like to change a couple lives, because once you become a member of Sportsline, you will never not be a member of Sportsline. It's the best value in all of sports betting. It's not close. You get all the cappers you see on your screen right now. You get their analysis. You get all of the articles, the simulations, everything for every sport. You cannot match it. So here's our 2 winners today. At Hans Gruber Tempe, and then at Jeep NNTN, at Jeep NNTN. I'll never know where you guys come up with some of these Twitter handles.
You know Hans Gruber is?
No, Hans Gruber, yes, but not Jeep NNTN. I don't even know where you come up with that. But we will reach out to you on social media, give you all the details. You have a year for free, courtesy of the Early Edge. Then the T-shirt winner, like the one that I'm wearing right now, they're fresh off the presses. They're brand new. Hardly anybody has them. At Jim CAV34. At Jim CAV34. We reach out to you. You give us your size. We'll send one right out to you. You'll have it in no time. The only thing we ask when we give you a T-shirt is that you tweet out a picture of it so we can use it on social media. Show everybody you're part of the family. That's all we ask. All right, we're down to our final game. And Maestro, since this is your first trip down Early Edge Live Tuesday lane, I'm going to let you start the conversation. And it's the Giants and the Chiefs. And the Chiefs have been the biggest disappointment in the NFL this year, and it's not close. However, somehow they're a double-digit favorite at home. Total sitting at 52. Talk to me.
Yeah, I was kind of jealous to see RJ put this up as one of his picks, because I would also be on the Giants here. I was trying to look up Daniel Jones' record against the spread as a road dog, but believe me, it's around 80%. And look at the 3 road games they've played. They went to Washington. They should have won outright. The guy jumps offside. They still cover in the field, and they lose by 1, and they cover. Then they go to New Orleans. They win outright. The next road game is the one he gets hurt, and Glennon comes in. They get blown out by the Cowboys. So Daniel Jones on the road, getting 10 points. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. He's not the greatest quarterback ever, but he's dynamic enough against this defense that we talked about. Even if the Chiefs, we know they're going to wake up offensively, they're not going to be that bad. But, yeah, I would love double digits here.
Mikey, is there any scenario where the Chiefs lose to the Giants at home? And if so, would this be the low point for this football team?
I mean, it would certainly be the low point for the team if they lost this primetime game at home. And, yes, there's definitely the scenario where they lose. I think the more likely scenario is they win the game by 7 by the touchdown. But, yeah, I'm not playing it here. I would consider teasing the Giants even still. All the way up to 16. Maybe wait it out, though. I think that it's such a difficult line to set because we know the range of outcomes for the Chiefs. We've seen it now. We saw the 3 points last week. Could not possibly look any worse. We know that they can put up literally 40 points literally against any team in the NFL when things are clicking offensively. I do think it's a good spot for them to get right. I think it honestly, to me, it profiles identical to that Eagles game. They had the disappointing losses. They come out. Mm-hmm. They ended up the game's competitive for a little bit, but they ultimately pull away and actually end up covering the spread. So I'm staying away from it for now. As always with the Chiefs, I'm looking for live betting opportunities on both sides. And I think that's the way I'm going to elect to play this one. But yeah, it's such a difficult line to set. If you've updated your power rankings, you've updated everything. This game probably should only be 8.5. But it's just so difficult to set because when the Chiefs are right, like these two teams, if this was like week 1 of the season for the Chiefs versus where the Giants are right now, this line is -17.
Amazing stuff. They just don't cover either. That's what's amazing to me. No matter what the number is, the Chiefs don't cover it. No matter what it is, they just don't cover it. All right, we've reached that time of the show. We're going to give you the recap of our official plays and then give you our final takes before we get out of here on our mega preview. So RJ White has 5 official plays. And again, last week between Sportsline and the early edge, 8-1. Right here on the show, 4-0. Texans plus 14.5. Bengals minus 9.5. Giants, Cardinals, Falcons. You see the numbers. Then Matty Severance, 2 plays. Very rare, so you better play them. Falcons on the money line. Lay the juice. Cardinals minus 3.5. Then the Maestro, first trip down early edge live mega NFL preview lane. Boy, that's a long street. Bears minus 3.5. Seahawks minus 3. And the Cardinals team total buying it down to 27. Your book might have between 28 and 29. Lay the juice at 27 is a very important number when you're talking about a team total. Then M squared, we got a teaser so far. Bears and the Colts together. And then just a couple of moments ago, he added Eagles and the Lions over 48. All right, I like to wrap up every show with giving my cappers about 15 to 30 seconds on what they're most looking forward to for the week. Maestro, kick us off.
Well, I think it's going to be that Giants-Chiefs game, and I think, the running game is gone too. It's not just Patrick Mahomes, but they can't run the ball or they refuse to try to run the ball. I think they're going to have to get back to that, get back to hitting some short passes, and maybe they're just not as, awesome as we all thought without a great number 2 receiver behind Tyreek Hill. Obviously, Kelsey and Hill are amazing.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Maybe they're not as good as what they thought. All right, Matty, what do you got?
Sparty party, baby. Michigan State wins outright. Beat Michigan.
RJ, I know you do. RJ.
10-1 last week. I was 8-1 heading into Monday night, so 2-0 on Monday night. So
my bad.
Looking forward to doing even better this week. I don't know, get better than 10-1. But no, what I'm looking forward to is you see Mike's hat, Atlanta Braves. Let's get this World Series. Let's this team, just as a Braves fan, did not expect him to be in the World Series with how this season has gone. Acuna out. So this hasn't been the team that I was like, we're going to win. And now we're in the World Series. So you just got to get there. And then it's down to 2 teams. So looking forward to this week. Watching them every night is going to be great.
Now, I've thrown this out there for you a couple of times. You've never bit. So I'm going to try it one more time. I'll take the Astros. You want the Braves? Sportsline showdown?
I mean, I took you on one, remember?
Yeah, I know. Well, I lost that one too, but I keep trying to get my money back. I'll lay the odds. I'll give you the plus 120.
See, you want me to put these bets in with like the Bills, and I should have took the Bills, but I don't play with these emotional teams. I'm already in this one for my heart. I'm not going to play more money on it.
All right.
It already means so much to me. I don't need a Sportsline showed up bet on it too.
Fair enough. I respect that. I respect it a lot. Mike, you bring us. What's that?
Is RJ going to go to a game?
You going into the game?
Not going. Too much work to do. Can't go to the game.
Yeah, we had Matty Snyder on the show this morning, and he's at the game. He'll be at game 1. I know.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that earlier. Matt Snyder, great friend of mine. He actually referred me to CBS, 7-8 years ago. He's the one that put me the reference there. So love Matt Snyder. Loved his pick on the show. Listen to that. Great to have him on. He's awesome. He knows a ton about baseball. So I'm glad you guys had him on.
And he was opposite Jay Smooth, so we love that as well. All right, Mikey. Matty, you're too much. Mikey, bring us home.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to the World Series, but I think there's 3 fascinating games this week, starting with Thursday Night Football. Packers with this line, the depth that the injuries that they're dealing with against the Cardinals. Very interested in the Titans and Colts game in the division. The game could potentially decide the division, but very interested to see these two teams where they have come from. And then on Monday Night Football, obviously the Kansas City Chiefs against the Giants. We're definitely going to know more about where the Chiefs are headed for the rest of this season on Monday night. So it's going to be a good week.
All right, it's going to be a very, very busy week, and the grind continues every single day. Make sure you stay laser focused. Money management. Don't chase. In this for the long haul. It's a long game. We're here for you every single day. Don't forget, a little housekeeping. Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, our mega college football preview, and then me and the crew right back here Thursday night, 7:20 Eastern time, counting down to the Packers and the Cardinals on Thursday Night Football. So there's only one thing left to do, and you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these early edge mega NFL preview tickets straight to the pay window. For my whole crew, Maestro, Mikey, RJ, the Lady Killer, Johnny, always keeping it clear and focused right here at the brand, and on behalf of our entire crew, Sportsline and the Early Edge, we love this so much, and we can't thank you enough for building and building and building. Good luck tonight. Enjoy the World Series, and tell your friends there's only one sports betting brand that you even need to worry about. We like to call it the Early Edge. Good luck.
Do you want best bets in your feed every single day? All you have to do is hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Early Edge.